Hello and welcome to Cornish Walking Trails. Today we're here on Porth Beach near Newquay.
Same thing then.
In 1987 this beach wasn't as quiet as it is today. There was a big explosion when the council blew up part of the cliff over there. A report at the time said one of Newquay's best kept secrets and part of the coastline heritage went up with a bang last week when part of Porth Headland was blasted with dynamite. Okay, so where are we today? We're near Porth. Out there is Porth Island, and behind me there's some ugly concrete reinforcements. Have you ever noticed them? So what are we looking at here? Not much to see, is there? Just a pile of rocks. It never used to be like that. There used to be a fantastic cave down there. The caves and caverns were the result of mining. So first let's take a look at some of those caves on Whipsiderry Beach. It's just a short distance from here, down some rather steep steps. Caves are evidence of the old mining that went on this beach. As well as mining for tin and copper here, they were mining for marble, and they made vast caverns. And the result of it was two really large caverns. One was called Cathedral, and the other one was called the Banqueting Hall. They used to hold concerts in the Banqueting Hall. It was vast. They even brought a piano down. They had singing. They had a variety performance. But in 1987, the council blew it up. They discovered it was unsafe. They bored lots of holes in it, put dynamite down there and blew it up, never to be seen again. Let's dig out one of our books and we'll tell you all about it. Our ward logbook from the 1930s, the Newquay one, explains a bit more about where the banqueting hall used to be. So they were coming off Porth Island and they said, we now visit the Porth Caves. Returning over the island, we cross the bridge and turn to the left and find rock steps leading down to the rocky little beach. The chief cave, the banqueting hall, lies towards the right from the gorge, beneath the bridge when looking at the Norwegian rock. It has two entrances, one facing the sea, the other a small hole in the side of the wall of rock. The latter is usually preferred on the account of the water that often remains at the larger entrance. This fine, dome-shaped cave is about 200 foot long. It was 60 feet wide and 60 feet high. Concerts were held here during the summer by permission, notwithstanding the difficulty of introducing a piano. So where do you think that Banqueting Hall cavern used to be?
Well, we're currently on Whipsiderry Beach.
Yeah.
The next beach over is Porth Beach, and you've got the big headland that comes off that.
With the little bridge?
Yeah, and I think it's between the two, but the way the tides are at the moment, there's no way we can get around there.
No, and there's very deep rock pools around these little rocks, isn't there?
And I don't think we'd actually recommend going around there unless you actually really know what you're up to.
Or a really low tide, isn't it? Yeah.
But they've, you explained about the council blew it up. So I don't think there's anything as such to see there anymore. But can you imagine, back in like the early 1900s or late Victorian times, actually going along to the banqueting hall for a concert? Apparently the acoustics were fantastic, and there was a little hole at the top where the derry used to come down. They used to have the pulley system to pull the marble up, so that's how they got the piano when it was a mine,
down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
can you imagine doing that?
I know, it must have weighed a ton, mustn't it?
But they reckon that banqueting hall could hold over 1,000 people.
Was it, how deep was it?
It was 200 foot deep
tall?
and 60 foot wide, I think 60 foot high as well.
Wow.
And I think they had about a 2-hour window because of the tide. So it was a very low tide at certain times of the year. And they actually got some of the locals that were fully aware of the tides just to sort of police it a little bit.
And
then when the time was up, it was right, come on. Time's up.
I wonder how many people actually got stuck.
They printed programs for this type of thing, didn't they?
And it was lit by candles, wasn't
can you
it?
imagine?
Yeah.
The acoustics are supposed to be incredible there.
Yeah.
It's a shame it's all gone, isn't it?
Of a bygone era.
Yeah.
So using the instructions on how to find where it was, obviously it isn't there now because it's been blown up by the council. But are you up for trying to find out its location, its former location?
So there's a few clues, both from this ward logbook, and there's also a photo which was in the newspaper, and that provides some clues as well.
Which we can kind of line up. So if we go back to the bridge, we can start there.
Yeah. So that old ward logbook, I think it's from 1937.
Right.
And that talks about coming off the little bridge off Porth Island where we stood at the moment. And then just to the left-hand side, there was some steps leading down.
Yeah.
But they're all completely gone now,
Obviously,
isn't it? It's where that first lot of sort of more modern gambions and cement is now. So that was obviously the access down onto that little cove.
I think we've got a view of it.
Yeah, and obviously pretty much at low tide now, aren't we? But if you pan across, you can clearly see an area of the cliff top has literally been removed, hasn't it?
Yes.
You can almost draw a little line where the blackness of the side of the cliff is a different colour there. There's a great big cave opening there, or an entrance. I think the whole, if you imagine a roof over all that.
So where that surfer is now is where the seam, the colour changes, isn't it?
Yes, that's really convenient.
And there's a pool where they described at the front of the cave.
Yes.
And then it would have gone back towards those gambions about 200 foot.
Yeah, so if you think about it, 200 foot deep, 60 foot wide, 60 foot tall, it kind of makes sense.
It does, it would fit in there, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Oh, how extraordinary. I would just so love to have seen one of those concerts. Can you imagine going in there with your candle?
And it was only at certain times of the year, at very low tides.
Summertime.
Can you imagine the acoustics in there as well? The actual sound of that. How many people were in there witnessing that? It must have been an incredible sight.
Yeah, we're 100 years too late.
But the land where the Banqueting Hall was, that particular headland, it was privately owned.
Yes.
And then I think in the late 70s, early 80s, it was sold and it was bought by the council.
Yeah.
And obviously then, with it being the council's responsibility, I suppose that's one of the reasons they thought this place has to go, because it's too dangerous and it's the safety. But they didn't actually state that was the reason for getting rid of it.
There was outrage at the time, wasn't it?
Because it was supposedly unsafe, and they were worried that if you had the acoustics in there, if it was still being used by a lot of people, then that would collapse.
Wow, yeah. I guess it's difficult, isn't it, for a council?
So in 1987, when the council actually came and demolished this and basically blew it up, it was all hushed up, and a lot of the local people knew that there was people up here working, but they were just being told it was being surveyed. And they got a lot of people in from English China Clay, near St Austell, where we got the China Clay tips and what have you. They got them in to set explosives, because they obviously knew what they were doing. And they set all the explosives in such a way that it would actually collapse the roof of the cave to make it basically disappear. It's
been obliterated, hasn't it? The cave, the council collapsed. Oh, you can actually make out big chunks of you can see big chunks of rock from here that don't look like natural erosion. So to my mind, to my eye, the chunks in that area there are just too square. Natural erosion gives you rounded pieces, not square rectangular blocks like that. I think that must be the roof of the cave. So the final thing we want to do is go onto the beach at Porth behind us. We've got the photograph from the newspaper at the time of the explosion happening, and we're going to try and line it up to make sure and corroborate that we've got the right point, which I'm fairly confident we've got. Okay, so you won saying come down the right hand side of the beach, but I'm a little bit sceptical about that.
So if you know Porth Beach, you know that the stream goes into the sea, doesn't it? Cuts the beach in half. I've studied that photo and I think it's taken from the right hand side of the stream, sort of closer to the headlands, because you can clearly see the bridge.
Yeah.
Now you think it's taken on the other side because you can see more of the headland. So yeah, I don't know who's going to be right here.
I'm going to go and rescue our dog and we'll find out.
I just know I won't hear the end of it if you're right.
Oh, what are you saying?
Yeah.
I'm going to try and line up the photograph of the explosion. Funny how they got that. Must have been taken by the people doing the exploding. Okay, so the bridge is just over there. get that photo out. The rocks in the foreground of the photo, I don't know if you can see it on my phone, but here there's very distinct seaming and striations, which you can actually see. You'll have to point them out with your finger.
They're over there.
And so the explosion happened directly above them.
So it's just where that buoy is, up there.
Oh, I thought it was to the right, where the
right of that,
bushes
maybe?
are.
Okay, let's have another look.
Aren't those striations there where those bushes are?
Oh, you are right.
Yeah? Do you see that? And there's like a...
So I think we're looking more over there.
Yes. So we have got the right place,
We have.
haven't we? We have found the right place.
Yes.
This is where the council blew up a cliff. I think they were the other side of the river.
Yeah, I do too.
We can't get that angle to prove our point, but I think we've got enough evidence. The shape of the boulders on the cliffside, the change in tone of the cliff, and the reinforcement with the gambions and the concrete walls really does tell you that there's been an interference by man there, doesn't it? So I think we've proved where it was.
If you enjoy Cornwall and you enjoy walking, then please consider subscribing to our channel, Cornish Walking Trails. Every week we upload a new walk somewhere in Cornwall, so come and join us, it's lots of fun.
So we hope you've enjoyed our little video about the council blowing up part of this cliff.
Yeah, it's really odd to think that they actually did that, isn't it? It seems quite extreme.
Yes.
You think they could just maybe have like caged it off or prevented people from going over there? It seems quite excessive to actually go and blow the whole thing up. I
guess you can't really do that, can you? You're dealing with quite a large area and people always find a way around an obstacle. So, but the romantic side of me says what a shame, but the logical side of me says I can understand why.
I still would have loved to have seen it.
Me too. To complement this video, we will be uploading, if we haven't already, a walk video that will take you to this very spot.